I'm gonna share with you my complete methodology in order to stop copying the reference photo in watercolor. Because sometimes we copy too much the model of maybe another artist, but when we take a picture that we want to interpret our own way in watercolor, sometimes we end up being too bogged down into the details and we are stuck into the reference photo. So in order to do that, I'm gonna take the example of this photo, which is a photo in France from a student. And thing is that I had this live with my students a few days ago, and one of them asked me, okay, how do I know which white in watercolor do I save? How do I know that? How do I anticipate the white in watercolor? How do I make the negative painting and so on? And based on this question, I took an example with her and I asked her, okay, let's take this photo now. How do you know which white from this photo you want to save? And you will see that based on the answer, you will then know how to detach from the reference model, how to detach from the photo. And first, my students, they told me, okay, I think that this little the height of this wall, it should be part of the white we want to save in watercolor. And I said, yes, right. Why is that? And they told me, yeah, because it's in perspective and it adds depth to the watercolor painting. So it can be good to do that. And I said, yeah, this is the answer. And then my student, she asked me, okay, does it mean that all the whites we need to save need to create depth in the watercolor painting? And when she asked me that, I said, I it didn't feel right. I told her, yes, but this is only part of the answer. If you zoom out from only the depth criteria in your watercolor painting, you will see that what does it bring exactly, this white of the paper? It brings depth, of course, perspective, of course, but what does depth and perspective bring? What does it add to the painting? And then I came up with the answer, okay, it adds intention. If your intention is to create depth, to create perfect perspective, then it's good to leave this white. But if your intention is just to paint this house, this building, then you don't need that. You don't need that at all. So it really depends on your intention. And then she asked me, okay, I see. So does it mean that all the whites that I need to save must serve my intention? And when she asked me this question, something, something was wrong in me, and I said, no, it cannot be only the intention. And then I came up with the three criteria through which through which I can make all my choices in watercolor. And this is how I can detach from the reference photo. Because the first criteria, yes, it's intention, but there are two other. The second one, it's readability. Is it that does this white from the watercolor painting, does it serve the readability? Does it help the viewer to make the watercolor painting more readable? And when I realized that, I saw that, oh, okay. So, for example, do this little pathway in white, is it really good? Is it the right decision to save the white for the pathway? Yeah, I think so, because it add readability to my watercolor painting. And it's exactly the same here with all the support here. Here, this one, this one, this one, this little, how I can say that? Yeah, the supports, how can they add readability to the painting? Do they add readability? If yes, then you need to save those whites. And if no, you don't need that. For example, here, so this tree, which sit just beside the wall, you can see that this part, maybe we can say that, okay, I need to save the white for this tree. But really, is it a good choice? Because does it add readability to this painting? Yeah, because we can see that it adds some tree. We can see that there is a tree here. But if you look closer, does it really help the reader, the viewer, see that there is a wall and there is a shadow? Does it hide? Doesn't it hide the shadow instead? So, based on that, you can choose by yourself and stop listening to all the tutorials out there. You just listen to, okay, does it add readability? Maybe not that much. Does it serve the intention? Does it convey the right message? Maybe not. So, if not, then you should consider removing this white or not trying to save the white here. And this is how you detach yourself from the photo. And there is a third criteria through which I make all my choices in watercolor when I try to make my own version of this reference photo, for example. And let's take this example again, the tree. The third criteria is feasibility. Is it feasible, technically feasible on the execution side? Is it doable to save this white? And when I ask myself this question, oh, maybe not, no, it's not that doable. So maybe I shouldn't. It's not that it's impossible to do, but it's difficult. And when it's easy, is it easy to save this white? Yeah, it's pretty much easy, because you just have to paint negatively around this wall. But this part, the bright part of this tree, yeah, it's much more complicated, because you have the wall, so you have to go around the shape of the tree, and then how do you make the shadow then? And how do you express, yeah, how do you paint the shadows of the tree and the wall? Yeah, it starts becoming really complicated. And depending on this third criteria, the feasibility, it's not that feasible. So then you can decide, okay, let's not save this white. And you can do that on all the technical part of your painting. Which color do I have to choose? Is it feasible? Does it convey the right message? And does it add readability to my painting? For example, if you have a snowy landscape, maybe warm colors, it doesn't add readability, because it will be more complicated to understand that it's about snow. It doesn't mean that it's impossible, but sometimes it's better to choose cold color in order to convey the right message, and in order to make the viewer make it more understandable about, okay, it's a snowy landscape because it's fresh, it's cool, it's cold. And then at the end of the live, I asked my student, do you want me to make a little test, to paint a little scene based on this photo? And then I said, yeah, I want you to test it. So I came up with This, you see, it's this scene, this painting, this photo. I just made everything based on the decision we made about the white. So this part, yes, I save it. This part, this little part, yes, I save it. And the trees here, you can see that the trees, I didn't paint the tree because it doesn't convey the right message and it doesn't make the painting more understandable, and in terms of technical feasibility it's much more complicated. So these are the three criteria you just need to know in order to choose what you are going to keep in the painting, in the reference photo, and what you're going to remove. And it can be applied to how to save the white, but it can also be applied to every other, on colors, on tonality, on everything else. And in that way, you will be able to detach from the reference photo. And this is exactly what I did here. And my students that told me, wow, you succeeded in detaching from the reference photo just by making the right choices, the choices that felt right to you. And it's different depending on the people, because for me, I have a certain level of technicality. I have a certain technical skills in watercolor, but it's not the same as other artists or my students. Some of my students, they are more skilled than me technically. Some of them are less skilled than me technically. So for them, is it doable? Is it feasible? It will not be the same answer depending on the people. So just ask yourself, okay, what's my current technical skill set? What's my current, what intention do I want to convey? What message do I want to tell through my painting? And it depends on each individual here. And it's exactly the same about readability. Is it readable? Does it make the painting more understandable? And in that way, you will be able to make your own choice in watercolor and then detach from the reference photo and make your own painting that comes really from you. Thank you for watching and see you next time.